Welcome to this week's episode of Success in Women. I'm Linda.
I'm Andrea.
And this week we're going to be talking about cruising. Recently I came back from a Mediterranean cruise, but we also know people are planning for next year's cruises in the summer, but also you may be planning winter cruises. So before we get into that, Andrea's got her tip of the week.
Well, since we're talking about traveling, I came across this nice little tip that for those of us who wear glasses or even sunglasses, you have the cases, and when you're done with those glasses, don't throw the case away. And I have like 3 or 4 in my drawer. So I saw a tip where when you're traveling, you can throw your cable, like your phone cables or your iPad cables inside these cases so that they're easy to find, easy to grab. And when you're in a hotel or on a ship, you keep them in those glasses so that the glass case so you don't forget them. And you could also use it for small jewelry.
Yes, I think actually that's a great idea for, especially for jewelry. I actually, when I bundle up any of the electronic cables and stuff, I have a makeup bag because, you know, I get a lot of free makeup bags with certain products that you buy at certain times of the year, and I can't use them all, but I have one that is specifically for anything I'm bringing to have my cords, all in a makeup bag. Right. So it's another way, but I like the idea of the jewelry in those because that I'd even want to protect more, and a lot of the cases are harder. And so it really
don't throw them out and don't leave them in a drawer. Utilize them instead of using little plastic baggies for everything. Use those, and then like you say, they're hard, they're more protected, and they're easy to find and grab.
So cruising, Andrew and I both really love cruising, and we've done a lot of it. But you know, cruising starts even before you leave home. And one of the things that you have to really consider when you're going on a cruise, do you want more sea days or more land days?
Right.
Because that's a big difference in how much you're going to enjoy, I'll say, your cruise. Right. Some people like being at sea. I do. There's many reasons I do, but one of the reasons I like to sleep in, I like to just relax. You know what? Sitting out on my veranda, if I get a veranda cabin, you know, and just watching the water and the world go by, reading a book. I like the relaxation of sea days. But I know some people really enjoy.
They want to be in port every day.
Every day
and be doing
something.
That can be exhausting.
I find it is.
Yes.
I like when we finally, oh God, it's sea day, thank God.
Because then you can enjoy because when you're in port, all the services are closed down on the ship.
Yeah, they're minimal services.
You can go to the pool and they'll have bars, but the restaurants are closed down. The spa's closed down. The
Lido deck is open for a buffet. Don't worry about that. But the dining room would be closed.
Yeah, the dining room closed, but the buffet. I mean, there's always food.
Always food.
But for me, I enjoy the ship. Yeah. And a lot of the ships now, they have so much activity. Like they have the go-karting, and they have you know, the
water
slides, whatever. So they're very limited when they're in port on what they leave open and what they offer. And okay, so now when you go to the Caribbean cruise, to me they're all the same, practically every island, you know, and we've been to so many. So for me, I just want to be on the ship. I want to relax. I want to watch the water go by, you know, hang out with my friends, either at the pool or we go have lunch, you know, somewhere nice or do something. And but now the Mediterranean is a different kettle of fish because there you have so many beautiful ports, so much to see. Now, I still wouldn't want to be in port every day because it is exhausting. And a lot of those European places that you want to go see, a lot of walking.
Yes, a lot of walking. And that's the other thing.
And it's summertime, hot.
It's hot, but you have to actually make sure that your mobility is okay for some of the places that you'd be going, because I know on the trip that I recently went on, we went to a place called Cinque Terre. The problem was it was all stairs. It's built on the side of the mountain, and it's all stairs. And if you have mobility problems, it's a challenge.
Right.
Well, if you don't know that and you take an excursion and you go there, and then you get there and you can't even get I'm going to say off the ferry, because for the most part, you're going by ferry.
Right.
From one port to, I'll say that island, and there's 5 little villages. That's a problem for people. And I went with a small group of people. It was a private tour, and we had about 4 people that were elderly, even though the person organizing it was told that no, this was the easier villages where they could get off. They couldn't get off the ferry.
Wow.
And that's, you know what I mean? If you don't do your homework, it's disappointing.
And
that's a lot of money too.
Right. And that's what you're saying about planning ahead of time. Before you even get on a plane, make sure you know the itinerary, what it's going to cost you. And a lot of the times, if you've booked the cruise, you must book those excursions before you even get on the boat.
Well, because a lot of them are so popular that you can't get on them. And the problem is, if you do a private tour, some of these islands, not islands, I'll say the cities in the Mediterranean, if you get delayed, the ship is saying bye-bye, and you're watching it go from the pier. And this actually happened on our ship.
Wow.
So we were in, I think it was Croatia, and these 2 ladies decided to go on a little extra shopping excursion somewhere. They were going to take the local bus, which was fine, but they didn't give themselves a lot of time, and they thought, well, it's only 10 minutes by bus away, but they didn't get off at the right stop. And they had in total 45 minutes, but the way that the bus did their loop, by them not getting off, they were literally at the pier watching the ship go.
Wow.
And if you've never been on a cruise, it's something to watch, because when they dock or when they're starting to go away, they've got a lot of work to, I'll say, get the ship away from land.
Untie it.
So they're untying it, but even the ramp, everything, bringing all that stuff back in. The ship is not going to
turn around
and wait for you.
No.
If you're on a ship's tour, the ship will always wait. And then one of the ports, the ship's tour was actually, and matter of fact, 2 of the buses were late, and we were over half an hour delayed because we had to wait for those buses. That's because it was done by the
ship. And so they're responsible to get you back to the ship on time.
When those ladies got left stranded in Croatia, and that's the other thing, you always want to have your passport on you, because if you get delayed in one of those countries, you have to make your way to the next port. In this case, they were in Croatia, and we were at sea the next day, and then we were sailing to Italy. So they had to spend 2 nights at a hotel and then get themselves flown from Croatia into Naples, Italy.
Wow.
So that's at their own expense. When I got back from my cruise, I was talking to somebody at work, and his mom was recently on a cruise. Again, I think it was in the Mediterranean, not sure, but it doesn't matter. The fact is, they were going to sail the day that they were flying in. So that's the other thing. If you don't give yourself another 1 or 2 days in advance, with the airlines today, you can't count on them being on time.
No.
And so what happened with them is that they were 3 days before they could catch up with their ship, because they had so many delays, they missed the connection.
Wow.
And so by the time they finally got to the country where the ship was sailing, the ship was gone.
Wow.
And so now they're stuck in a hotel for 3 days. They had to pay for their hotel, their meals, and they had to pay to get flown to the next port. The son said it was approximately $2,000 that were for them. Just by not booking 1 extra day, cost them $8,000 for the total of the 4 of them to be delayed going. So you could miss the ship while you're in port, or you could miss the ship when you're leaving.
Right.
Only because you don't give yourself enough. I don't even take a chance if I was flying to Florida. It's a 3-hour flight.
Yeah.
Because you know how many
Especially
times
the weather.
Andrew, you've had that happen, or mechanical, and all of a sudden you get there at night. Your ship is leaving at 4 o'clock. You can't take the chance.
No.
So even on a short flight,
I always tell all my friends, if they're planning a cruise, make sure you fly in the day before the cruise. Give yourself at least a day, because yes, you might have to get a room at Holiday Inn, whatever, but
Yeah.
you know you're there.
Yes.
You know you're going to make the ship.
Less stress.
Much less stress.
So if your plane is delayed, you're not worried about, oh my God, am I going to make it or not?
Right. That's the worst feeling. I mean, I remember when we went to Italy a couple years back for my daughter's wedding, and we had also booked, we had to stop in Frankfurt, and we only had a very short time in between the flight leaving from Frankfurt to Italy. We thought, oh, it won't be a problem. Well, on this end, the people didn't, they booked their luggage, they checked in their luggage, but they didn't get on the plane. We don't know to this day what happened. Well, you know now, planes cannot fly unless you are on the plane. They had to go rummage through the cargo and find their luggage and take it off. That hour that it took for them to do that, well, more because they waited. They paged them a couple of times. We missed our connecting flight.
Oh.
We sat in Frankfurt for about, I think, 7 hours
And
for the next flight.
And lucky you weren't going on a cruise. Can you imagine? Or missing your daughter's wedding because you cut it that close.
And because of that, they lost our luggage.
Oh my God.
So we were 3 days without our luggage, and it arrived the day, we also had the cousin's wedding, so it arrived the day of his wedding, thank God. But it can be very stressful when flights are delayed or changed. So
or if you lose the luggage. And one of the things, you know, we told you on a recent episode about Andrea's sister-in-law going on a Mediterranean cruise, and her luggage never made it to the ship. And she never got it until she came back to Toronto. The thing is, that other tip that we want to give you is make sure you divide your clothes between yours and your traveling partner, because you don't know if your luggage goes missing. At least you might have some things that you can have.
Carry-on with some
and the carry-on's really good.
You know, brush, maybe a curling iron, whatever.
Even a change of a t-shirt,
a change of clothes, change of underwear, especially. Have just that, especially when you're going to the Mediterranean, because you cannot just go shopping. In the Mediterranean, the clothes are very expensive, very different sizing.
But Andrea, don't you find in the Mediterranean some ports where you dock is an hour away to go into the city?
Oh yeah.
So you can't just walk off and say there's going to be a store there.
Grab a t-shirt. Like, in the Caribbean, you could get away with it.
Yes.
But
a lot of Caribbean t-shirts.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
No problem, man.
Yeah,
Love
exactly. No, but not in in Europe, and especially if you're a bigger person like my husband would never be able to buy a wardrobe there. You know, so you have to think about those things before you're.
It's limited on the ship, but on the other hand, you can get some things on the ship. Right. But again, you're going to pay for that as well, because it's the convenience that it's right on board. And again, it's not open unless you're at sea.
Exactly.
And that's the thing you got to keep in mind as well. When Andrew said the services are limited, they're very limited.
Yes.
All the stores are closed.
Right.
And a lot of the services are closed as long as you're in port.
Right. Now, if you're planning an excursion or going out for a walk around, then you don't care what's happening on the ship. But some people, they've been 2 or 3 times. Yeah. They don't want to go out and explore or sightsee. I have a friend who's not into history, not into any of that. So they want to be on the ship or spend limited time off the ship. Maybe, okay, we'll go for an hour, but we're coming back to have lunch. Well, then what do you do for the rest of the day? So it's very important to know what you want out of the cruise and look at the itinerary and then also, especially for the Mediterranean, where you're going to fly into and where you're going to fly out of. Do you want to spend a week here or a week there? Like we had a friend that came, we met on the ship, the Caribbean, but they wanted to end in a certain place, the last port, so that they could stay off. Okay, we went on to Miami, but they got off the ship at the very last port and stayed there for a week.
That's nice.
You know, they planned it that way.
Yeah, I would have loved to have done that, but because the cruise, we did a 7-day and a 12-day back-to-back on the same ship. So we flew into Athens and ended up staying overnight in Plaka, which is really so quaint. I love Plaka, and knowing what I know now, I would actually go back and spend a few days because
Wow.
I enjoyed. It was in the heart.
What were some of
Athens.
the other ports you were at, Linda?
One of the ports was Catalone, and it was in Greece as well.
Oh.
And it's like a little fishing village. And we went to this one restaurant right there, and it's right at the pier. So you walk off the
Wow.
ship. You got all these restaurants, and the restaurants are all along the sea. And then right behind the restaurants is a street, a main street, and you got all these nice little shops. It was fantastic. And oh my God, some of the best Greek food.
Wow.
It was incredible. And Mykonos, another Greek island, which the traveling partner that I went with, they actually enjoyed that so much. I had been to Mykonos a number of times. Love Mykonos.
Wow.
It's so pretty, it's so quaint, and it's so whitewashed. So everything's blue and white.
Is it like those pictures you see?
It really is.
Wow.
It really is.
I've been to Athens, but I've never been to the islands.
Big difference.
Greek islands. Yes, I've heard.
But I love the city. But you know, if you could spend a day or two in the islands, it would be nice as well.
Wow.
On another trip, I'd done Santorini, which is really, really pretty. I'm not sure because all the islands offer something different.
Right.
It's really nice, and I'll say more relaxing. But one of the favorite ports seems to be Istanbul, Turkey. And if you think about it,
I did like Istanbul.
everybody does. Now, I didn't go on to one of the Turkish baths, but I met some people who did an excursion there. They said it was fantastic.
Oh, we'll have to do that next time.
And I was going to say, the next time I go to Turkey, I'd have to do that. But I did bring home some Turkish delight from this shop, and you'll see pictures, I hope it gets posted, but of the display of Turkish delight that I've never seen.
Wow.
It was so beautiful. I thought,
I love Turkish delight.
well,
That's not for everybody, but I loved it. Even as a child, I loved it.
Right.
I'd buy the Turkish delight bars.
Well, it's not quite the same.
I know, but you know,
it's
similar.
not quite the same, but I have to tell you, you know how you can get Turkish delight in these boxes, and they sell them even in Toronto, and I had brought some home, and I could get the same packaging, and I thought, I'm not doing that again. Well, this shop,
it in Turkey.
I bought this in Turkey for my business partner. He said it was the best Turkish delight he had ever had, to the point where he says, I really didn't want to share it. He had a friend and his wife and that, and he goes, I did share it, but he goes, it was so good I didn't want to. But it was amazing.
I think you brought me some back.
But it was in a package though. That was prepackaged.
Right.
This was not. This was all hand-picked and put together.
Where's my package?
Yeah, I know. I didn't even think about it, but I thought my partner had gone to Spain in the spring and bought me a bottle of Prosecco right from Spain. I guess it's called something else, but it was, basically a sparkling wine.
Hello, we bought him the potatoes.
Yeah, and you know what? It's true. We did from Zilda. That Turkish delight was really heavy too. I mean, I couldn't believe it was like a heavy box.
Because
of the real
so
stuff.
limited with luggage nowadays. Every little item counts for weight.
But I was going to say, one of the places that I enjoyed very much, well, two, we were in, I'll say, the outskirts of Nice in France. And what was nice about that is that when you walked off the ship, you literally could walk to the train station and take a train right into Nice, or you can take a train right into Monaco, which is what my friend and I did. We went to Monaco, and literally we got there right at the train station. We walked a few steps outside the station, and there is a stop for a hop-on, hop-off bus. We got on that, got a city tour, finished that, went back to the train station, and got back on our ship. Because what I was going to say, one of the things that I like to do to make sure I don't miss is be at least 1 hour or more back on the ship before they're even getting close to sailing.
That's how I feel.
In case there's a delay anywhere. I don't want to take that chance. So I plan everything. Well, the last stop when we were in was Barcelona, Spain. And we were there actually overnight. So we only docked around 12:30. So by the time we got off the ship, we did the same thing, only our ship had a bus that takes you to what they call the Twin Towers, or something like they have it named in New York. And anyway, you go there, and then the hop-on, hop-off buses are right there waiting, and you go again. We did that because we only had the afternoon. We went around, we did the red line and then the blue line, did the whole city tour. And see, these are places where you don't have to worry about going on a ship's tour, because first of all, you're overnight, but second of all, you can do that hop on, hop off, because it's right when the bus takes you from the pier to that stop. That's all you have to do.
Wow.
And it's a less expensive way, and knowing that you can't miss the ship as long as you get
Yes.
there before the next day, you're totally fine.
Fine,
And
yeah.
it's a great way to see the city doing
Right,
that hop on,
right.
and it's a lot less money. So some cities, it's good to do that. And after seeing Spain, it's a beautiful city with a lot of history.
Yeah,
I'd
I
love
haven't
to
been
go
to
back.
Spain. I'd love to go there.
Yeah.
Well, I hope we get to see all these beautiful pictures.
Well, hopefully our editor, producer will put it all together so you can see some of the ports that we were at, some of the pictures that, when I say we, my traveling partner and I, a friend that went, it wasn't, I did ask her last year about going. She didn't want to go without her husband. Now her husband's saying next time she gets invited, go.
And I will.
She will, because her and I have a lot of things in common.
Yes.
Where we really enjoy the history
Yes.
of a lot of the ports. And one of the things that I didn't do on this trip, but if you ever go to Naples, take the side trip to Pompeii.
Oh, that's...
Both of us have seen it before, but
Yes.
it's a place you need to go again.
Yes.
And I met people that actually went to, I think it's called Hercules.
Yeah.
And it's another historic
yeah.
site that they said they were more impressed. And I was impressed, blown away actually with Pompeii.
Oh. Ooh.
But they said, you got to go to
Amazing.
Hercules. And I thought, oh my God, I can't wait to go back, because I love the Mediterranean anyway, because I love the food, I love the wine.
Right.
But now with
The
this
history, the culture.
oh my God, yes.
It's incredible.
It was, and we did a tour in Rome, and it was called Roman Holiday, just like the movie with Gregory Peck
yes.
and Audrey Hepburn.
Yes.
It was so cool. We got to go where, you stick your hand in that place at the church. It's the mouth of something where if you're not telling the truth,
Oh.
the legend is it'll bite your hand off. So, some people took it and they
I
put
see
their
you
sleeve.
still have your hand.
Yeah, I still have my hand. Try to tell the truth. But anyway, and we went into the church and all that. And actually, I bought the little bottle that you can put holy water in. So I went back in the church and filled it up with the holy water that was in the church and brought that home. And
Good.
yeah, it was kind of my little luck thing.
Yeah.
And it wasn't expensive to buy the little bottle, and it's right from Roma. So it's kind of
Nice.
cool. But we did a lot of
I
places.
brought water home from the Jordan River.
Oh,
I
did
filled
you?
up a water bottle, and the priest had blessed it, and we all got baptized in the Jordan River.
Wow.
And I used that water for all the children that were born after in our family, to just put a few drops in the baptismal water at the church, and it felt good.
Yeah, and Cindy, my younger sister, she actually got holy water from the Vatican City when she was
Nice.
at the when she
It's
was
always nice to
at the
have.
Vatican. But anyway, it's kind of cool. And I just thought, well, you know what? It was a church. It's in Rome, and it was part of the Roman holiday, which I always enjoyed that movie. And we did a lot of those sites, so it was kind of cool.
A lot of interesting excursions when you go on a cruise. And that's the thing, when you just fly to Rome or Italy, you might see the touristy spots, but sometimes on these cruise itineraries, they can, different things come up, and they'll take you the whole day.
Well,
and
that was an
visit
11-hour
different
tour.
Wow.
11 hours, yeah. And it
So,
was far.
yeah.
Some people actually did take make their own way in,
Right.
because they'd been to Rome. So they knew the places
Right.
they wanted to go. Because my traveling partner had never been to Europe before, I wanted to make sure she got to see Rome and the
Right.
highlights of the Colosseum and the Trevi Fountain and the Spanish Steps,
Yes. The Vatican.
Yeah, well, we didn't get to go to the Vatican.
you
That was
didn't?
a different tour.
Oh,
And we
okay.
were only there the one day. So
Right.
11 hours was enough, trust me.
Yeah.
It was a full day. And that's
Wow.
why I wanted to do that tour, because I didn't want to take a chance missing the ship
No.
as well. But it's great, but you really do, because some people find cruising boring, and some people love it. And Andrew and I, like I said, we find more things to like about it.
Yes.
Even though one of the biggest complaints that I hear is that there's not enough time in port. It's not to give you a whole overview. It's to give you a taste,
Yes.
to see if you'd want to go back.
Right. And that's what I tell people. I say,
Yeah.
if you thought to go to Italy or to go to here or there, and you can't make up your mind, see, that's another thing. Most people only get a week or two a year.
Yeah.
And how else are you going to see 5 different countries?
Yeah.
or 6 or however
Yeah.
long you go for. And you get a taste of it, and you go to the most important, and then the following year you go to different ports.
Right.
Or if you love what you saw in Rome, whatever, then you spend your next holiday there in Italy. So
And what?
it's just to get a feel for everything.
Right. So don't expect that you'll have enough time. That
No.
you won't. But I do want to give you another tip, though, when you talk about your own cruising and if you plan your own excursion. Because we ended up going on a private tour that we had met somebody, she had organized it all, and she thought she had done her research, did everything, and it was the tour from hell, if I can use that expression. Again, it wasn't a ship's tour, but everything that the tour, or at least what she thought was going to be included in the tour, was not. We made it back to the ship in less than half an hour before it was going to sail,
Ooh.
which again, I did not appreciate.
So you got stressed out.
It was very stressful, the whole thing, but also the fact that there were add-ons that normally when you book a ship's trip, you know exactly what you're paying for and what you're getting.
Yeah.
Because it's all listed.
Right.
And if you don't do your homework, and again, I made the mistake of accepting that the other lady had done the homework.
Oh.
But even on the other hand, she was also very disappointed in what she got for the money that she did ask for a refund, and they gave 70% of our money back,
well, that's
which
good.
which we all appreciated because it really was not as advertised. And so you got to make sure, read the reviews on these if you're going to do a private tour.
Right.
Okay, because it can make your holiday very stressful.
Right.
And that's not what you want when you're on holidays. And the nice thing when you book on the ship's tours, they take care of everything. And it's really punctual. I really enjoy them. They're going to be sometimes a little bit more than you want to pay, but the great thing is they give you the local guides to go with it, to give you the history.
Exactly.
And I love all that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
nice. So I hope you enjoyed the short videos that I've taken in the different ports and the pictures. And you know, Andrea and I have, I'll say, done a lot of cruising, and we'll continue to do a lot of cruising. I've already got one booked for January, so we'll share that with you as well.
Right.
And if you've got any comments, you know, share
questions, whatever.
Yeah, anything. We'll be happy to answer.
Yeah, just always remember to plan and plan well, because now's the time if you want to go in the winter, and if you want certain cabins, if you need specialty rooms, handicap, whatever, now's time to book before they get all sold out.
And they do. And I was telling Andrea, actually, before we started, one of my clients, she's actually booked her trip for 2025.
Wow.
There's 6 of them going, and they wanted 3 cabins side by side. And in order to make sure they got it on the deck they wanted and side by side, they had to book now, make their deposits for 2025. Because it's a summer cruise for one.
And you know what? If something happens, they'll give you your deposit
back.
back.
You don't have to worry about that. Cruise ships are really good.
They're really good that way.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You just want to secure what it is you
what
want.
you really want.
And actually check the ships, the different ships, because they all offer different things. Some will be more active, and some will be more party. Some will be quieter. Some will be, I'll say with the food will be a little bit more upscale. Some will include a lot more stuff. So, they've got them, I'll say 2 to 6 star kind of thing with the different amenities. And depending on what you want.
Yeah.
It's fun.
A lot of fun.
A lot of fun. So that's it for this week. We hope you enjoyed the episode, and we hope that you
like,
share,
and please subscribe.
And how about the thumbs up?
Thumbs up.
We do appreciate that as well. So I'm Linda.
I'm Andrea.
We'll see you next week.
Have a great week.
Happy cruising.
Yeah.